everybody. My name is Aria.
And my name is Alice.
From Bach Bros Studio. We're here today at an NYU lab at the New York Genome Center to meet with Professor Rahul Satija and ask him about single-cell genomics.
I'm so excited. Are you ready?
Let's go!
Hello, Professor Satija, and thank you for making the time to meet with us today.
Thank you. It's so nice to see you guys here. Good afternoon.
What is the study of biology and how is it relevant in our daily lives?
Biology is the study of life. It's the study of all living things. So a lot of biologists, work on humans and work and study human beings. But there's so many incredible living things in the world, right? All of animals, mammals, birds, reptiles, insects, flies, yeast. They're all alive. Plants and crops are all alive. Bacteria are alive. The viruses that can make us sick, they're alive. So everything that we do, in some ways, involves biology. The people we talk to, the food we eat, and even the air we breathe is full of living organisms. And so, as biologists, what we want to understand is, how does all of this work? How do organisms work? How do they grow? How do they live? How do they interact with their world and with their environment? So it's a pretty cool thing to be able to study, and that's what we do.
So we know that your specific research is on single-cell genomics, but when we tried to read about your research, it was not very easy to understand. So can you please explain it to us?
Of course. My research, as you said, is a field called single-cell genomics, and I'll tell you a little bit about what each of those kind of words means. So genomics is really the study of DNA and the genomes that each of us have. And the way that I like to think about it is, we're incredibly complicated and intricate organisms, but there has to be a program that describes how we work and how we function. So everything is driven by a code. So there is, a program inside of all of us and inside of every living organism that determines how we function and how we work, and that's called the genome. And that's really cool, right? And that's really something that we study and we try to understand. Now, oftentimes in biology, when people try to explain something, they explain it very simply when it's far more complicated. So it is true that the human body, and me and you, we all have a program. But it's really implemented as millions or even billions of individual, small, tiny programs. And those programs live in our cells, right? Because as a human being, we're all made up of lots and lots and lots, really of trillions of individual cells. And each of those cells runs a different part of the program, okay? So you have a cell in your eye. That cell is going to be able to sense the light, right, in the room and turn that into a signal. You have a cell in your ear that can hear something. That's going to execute a different part of the program. You have a cell in your heart that can pump blood. You have your muscles that can move. So all of these different cells, right, are sensing and doing different things because they all have slightly different programs, which is really fascinating and incredible. And you might even have different programs in the same cell over time. So right now you guys are still small and growing, so your cells are executing programs to grow, and so that you get bigger and bigger. I'm kind of done with that, so I don't grow very much anymore. So my cells stopped executing that part of the program. So that's really what we try to understand in single-cell genomics. What are all the little programs that each of our cells is turning on and turning off so that we can understand how they work and how they function. And if we hope that if we can understand those programs, we can understand overall kind of how a human being functions.
So why did you want to study about this topic, and why do you think it is important?
I love the type of research we do, and I love single-cell genomics because I really think there's an incredible opportunity just to discover how the human body works. All of us are made up of these individual building blocks, of these individual cells. And we know a little bit about who they are and where they are and how they work, but we're only really just starting to discover that. And the idea that the work that we do here might help all of us understand really what makes up a human being, that's an incredibly exciting problem to work on. It's something that people have worked on for hundreds of years. It's something people will continue to work on for hundreds of years after us. But I think now we're in a position where we might be able to really help move our understanding of that process forward and to really discover something about human biology, and that's why we like to work on it.
How can the study of single-cell genomics be useful in our daily lives?
Yeah, so a lot of the research that we do try to understand, as I said, the cells in a human body. And we want to understand what happens when people are healthy, when they're growing and when they're living. But we also want to understand what happens to our cells when people get sick. And so when, I don't know if, when people they're a little bit sick, they might have a cold, maybe feeling a little bit unwell, or they might have a really serious disease like cancer. Something is wrong with the program that their cells are executing. Something is malfunctioning. And if we can understand what that is, the hope is that we might be able to fix it. But it's really hard to be able to cure a disease or to be able to fix that program if we don't even know what the problem is. And so a lot of our work looks at different types of disease and tries to figure out what the problem is within our individual cells. And the hope is that if we can better understand what that problem is, we can maybe design a drug, we can design a vaccine, we can design a medicine so that we can fix the program in those individual cells and help people who are sick feel better.
If you want to become a biologist like you, what are some things we can do to prepare when we're young?
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, I'm a professor here, but really I work very closely with about 15 other people in the lab who are students and people who are training and learning to become how to become a biologist and how to become a professor. So I asked them. I said, what would you, when you guys were curious about this, I said, what kind of advice would you give Ariel and Ellis? And they gave me some good advice. So one thing they emphasized was how important it is to be curious. To look at the world, and if you don't understand something or something doesn't make sense, to ask questions about it, to enjoy that process of trying to learn new things, to be excited about the world around us and the complexity of the world around us. If you're a curious person and you really like exploring and understanding new things, even if no one has ever understood them before, you might really like being a scientist. And another piece of advice that they gave was you will have to work hard in all of the things that you guys are interested in. You'll have to go to school, you'll have to go to college, and there's a lot to learn even after that. And parts of that will be really fun and exciting, and parts of that will be difficult and will be hard. And to learn that when things are difficult, or when you make mistakes, that's okay, or when you don't understand something, that's okay. Don't take yourself too seriously. A mistake is much harder to recover from if you're constantly demanding perfection of yourself. So to learn to persevere and to work through challenges, that's not just for becoming a biologist, but that's some of the advice that people in the lab thought would be good to give you guys.
But there you have it. Genomics is one of the fields in the study of biology that can help us understand more about human biology and medical advancement. So let's keep exploring. And for more, follow us on Bach Bros Studio. See you next time.
Bye!